So I'm going to show you how, like I said, I'm going to show you how I would start to create something. So the point of me going to, before I start, I guess I should say, me showing you all this is something that I have done that I think sounds good, and I've saved it, right? So this is kind of how every single track that I've made in the last year has been this bass group. Every single one. And then it's just about different samples and different arrangements of the samples. So I use this all the time. And again, going back to what I said earlier about working smarter, not harder, I put in the work to create this. I know it sounds good, and I know I can get cool ideas out of it. When I'm in the mood to create, I just drop this in. I have all of this set up already, and I can just drag in some samples, see how it sounds, and really start to explore my creativity, right? So we have this sound. This is just the standard Kashmir Psy bass thing. It's in tune in the key of D with the sub here. We can do some stuff to change it if we want. Let's see how it sounds right now with the sub all together. I'm just gonna mimic the pattern here, the quarter note pattern of the sub. All right, I mean, it's okay. It sounds a little stupid right now, but we can fix this. So let's try rounding off the sub. If you can't get these here, these are just the Ableton fade out and in handles here. If you're not seeing them, just hit A. That toggles automation mode. So we want to be out of automation mode, and we can find these. So we can round off the sub, highlight it, Control D to duplicate, which is what I had done. Yeah, so we have rounded off the sub now. Cool, sounds good. This Kashmir synth, let's see if we can do some stuff with it. I'm gonna warp it here, and I'm gonna click this little button to double the original tempo. So what this is doing is it's stretching out the track, or sorry, this little sample. So you'll be able to see that here. If I duplicate it, you see it's stretching it out. So now it's double the length of what it was. Now you've doubled it again, and then we've reached, it can't double it because the max is 999, so it can't double 560, but you can just drag this and stretch it out all the way to its maximum if you want it. So I'm gonna just stretch it out like that. We're gonna change the warp mode to maybe tones. I like using tones. See if we can find something cool. Texture maybe. That's good, but it's sounding pretty similar to that because it's essentially just repeating on a large grain size, so it's kind of the original. Beats again. Yeah, we'll stick with tones. I'm not a genius on how all of these warp modes work. If you want to find out more about what exactly they're doing, I would recommend trying it out and seeing how I know how they all sound and how the sound is going to be affected, but I couldn't tell you the ins and outs of the technicalities behind all of the algorithms and stuff that's going on behind the scenes here. But we're going to stick with that. We're going to round this off. We're going to make it a quarter note length here. Sure, let's see how this sounds. So we're going to duplicate that, and then we're going to highlight all of this. We can highlight multiple things by clicking, holding shift, clicking where we want the total fucking highlight to go. Sorry. I don't know if I should swear or not, but then we're going to Control C, Control V. There we go. Cool. I'm going to make this a little less long, a little shorter. Cool. And now with the sub, let's see how that sounds. All right. It's decent enough pretty quickly. So once I have this set up, I'm going to do some drums. So like I showed you in the beginning, I'm going to take the drum group that I've already created. There's no point in me creating it again. I know how it sounds. So we have my little drum rack, which is just a kick that eCraze had sent me, and a Kashmir trap clap, and then I have another clap layer, which is just a little bit of EQ, a little bit of G clip, well, a lot of bit of G clip. We're pushing that quite a bit. Then we have some percussion loops, and again, it's just EQing out the lows and G clip to bump it up, and the same thing on this one. So have some percussion, got my drums. You can see that this is up here. Oh, I'm in the way. You can see that this is riding pretty hot, but sounds good. It doesn't sound distorted to my ear. It sounds fine. So that's what I'm going to work off of. It's loud, obviously, and it doesn't sound distorted. So as far as I'm concerned, we're fine. At least for my process. That's kind of, yeah. So I'm going to just move all the stuff I've done over here. So now we need to set up some side chains. So with the utility, I'm just going to automate the gain down so that we can just cut that sound, or cut this sound when the drums are playing, so we leave room for the drums. Oops. I've done that wrong. My apologies. Hang on. There we go. Kick. So we have the sound ducking when the kick hits and when the clap hits. You know, I'm sure most of you know the point of side chaining things and why we would do that. It's just to make, you know, you're going to get a cleaner sound out of it. You should be side chaining. However you want to side chain, it doesn't matter. For the purposes of this, like I said, we're just going to be using a gain knob with a utility. So once we have the side chain, you know, this sounds okay. It's a little boring, obviously. One thing that we can do to instantly make the sound a little more interesting is come down here, click this little D circle, and this opens up the Ableton track delay. And now on our bass group, so with the sub and the mid layer and high layer synths and all this, we're gonna turn up the delay. Let's go to 60. And what this is doing, it's delaying the audio of this playing by 60 milliseconds, I suppose is what MS means. So it's the same as if we left this at 0 and we just took all of this and delayed it like this, dragged it all out. That's what that's doing. So I'm going to turn it up to 60 and we're going to hear how this sounds now. Little more interesting. Let's try it lower. That's fine. What about higher? 90. All right. Now we're working with something. I'm going to turn it to 70. We're going to go in between. Not exactly in between, but great. So now we have drums very quickly that sound fine. If I want to change the drums, I can change it very easily. I can change the clap, I can change the percussion, but I like the drums, so we're going to stick with the drums here. Sub sounds fine. This sample sounds fine right now. So now that we have this, you know, this initial little quarter note idea, now we can start to create something captivating, a little more interesting. So we can move some of these around and see how the, you know, vibe of this changes pretty quickly. So let's try and maybe shorten these to an 8th note instead, and I'm going to do that with the sub as well. I'm going to make sure the sub comes out a little more, like that rings out. And then let's highlight this all. Again, holding shift and clicking, and Control D to duplicate. Okay, that's a little more interesting. Let's see. Let's try something like this, where we let that ring out, and then we can make these even a little tighter and see how that works. Yeah, you know, that's a cool idea too. So we can, you know, we delete that or save it, but I'm going to delete it. Let's see. All right, cool enough idea. Let's roll with that. Let's see where this takes us. So because this is audio, a very cool thing that we can do is multi-select, or, you know, we double click, we'll go into the clip view down here, and then we'll multi-select all of these. And because they're the exact same and all of that, we can do like basically a batch warp and retiming and repitching of all of it. So I could unwarp these, could pitch them all up. There's a new vibe. We could pitch them all down. Ooh, that's something cool as well. Maybe what we could do is we could make them short, then warp them so that they retain the current timing. Then we could pitch it back down. Let's see how that sounds. Ooh, it doesn't really sound like anything. Let's switch it off of tones. Let's try texture. Let's bring the grain size all the way down and make it kind of squeaky. So that might be too short. So let's unwarp him. Let's make him a little less short. Let's keep him around there. Then we'll try that again. Okay, so maybe not all of these sounds are winners, but I like that opening. I like that. So now I'm going to leave that, and I'm going to take these ones, do the exact same thing, except we're going to switch them up. So let's do that. Let's warp them at the original time. Okay. Then we could even just, you know, change them all up so that they're different pitches and different lengths. You know, we're just not even listening. We're just kind of going randomly here. Ooh, okay. You know, that's kind of cool. Let's bring these down. Let's see. Kind of cool. But you know what? I'm going to be honest, I'm not a fan of that. So we'll just delete that. You know, it didn't take very long. We didn't lose a lot of time there. I like this better. You know, we've tried a few different things, and I've landed on this idea. This is what we're going to stick with. Or some variation of this. You know, the original pitch was also cool. Cool. We have an A and B idea. Let's, we can Control X, multi-select Control X to cut, and we'll paste it somewhere over here. And we'll reuse that later maybe. But let's roll with this. All right. Okay, so now that we have this, where can we take this from here, I wonder? Well, let's try pitching these with another addition of something else. So using these audio channels down here, we'll add in another element. I'm not going to use the extra for now because I don't want an aggressive kind of whiny bass sound. I'm thinking something a little more tonal. So let's just stick with Kashmir because we've been using that. We're going to do it with Kashmir. Let's try a synth shot. Oh, hang on. All right, no. Okay, let's try that. This is in E, so let's pitch it down to D. All right, maybe a little shorter. I don't like the pitch bend on it, if I'm being honest. So let's stretch it out so that we don't have that pitch bend. And I'm going to throw a little rack on it here. So I have this boost rack, which is, you know, I've just renamed it. This is something I use all the time. It's just some saturation, some reverb, and then some EQ and some G-clip. So I'm going to take the lows out here. I'm going to bump it up with G-clip. I'm going to add some reverb. We're going to put the mix up all the way again so we get that kind of room. I'm going to keep the depth down. Cool. And let's see how this can work with our idea. All right, so bring it up one, bam, 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 oh, bam, 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 bam. Maybe that's where I'm thinking this is going. So let's bring this first thing back. Except now, since this pitch is up, we're going to do the same thing. So we're gonna multi-select these again by holding Shift, and we're gonna pitch them up one. So now the sub is pitched up one, and this is pitched up one, and this is pitched up one. So we don't have to go and individually pitch them all up. We can just multi-select and pitch them all up at once. So it might be tougher to hear. Maybe we can let the sub ring out for this part. We could even let these ring out for this part, maybe. Let's try that. Good, good, good. So that's sounding a little cool with this as well. Now, one thing I've noticed here is that we haven't delayed this. This bass group is delayed by 70, but this one is not. So we're going to delay that by 70 as well so that it's all cohesive. Good, good. Sounds good. So let's hear it again. Nice. Okay, let's duplicate that. So again, holding Shift, duplicate. There we go. So we could change this up now, have a little call and response. So it goes bam, bum, 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 bam, boom, bam, bum, 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 bam. We could go down one instead of up one now. So I'm going to multi-select that part that goes up one. And instead of, okay, hang on. Yeah, this is down one now because we pushed it down. But instead of going down, or sorry, instead of going up one, you can see down here it's going to show up. If we go down, this is now, sorry, this is where it was. Now we're down to the original here. Now we go down one. So nice. Now let's see how, you know, bringing this out a little more would sound. I like that better. Maybe we could round those a little bit as well at the start. Cool, and then we'll just duplicate this again. Again, I'm gonna just delete that, multi-select, duplicate. Okay. We could change up the vibe of this. If we want this to be a lower kind of sound, instead of going, you know, down to, let's drop it all in octaves. So we're going to drop it an octave from where it currently is. It's at -3, so -12 would be -15. Cool. I'm also going to make sure this side chain continues throughout the drop here. So I'm just going to make sure that we're going to duplicate that over and over and over. So we're always getting the side chain. All right. So here's this cool idea so far. Okay, so one thing I've done in the drums here is I've cut this this very last clap, and we're gonna use this as a little turnaround. So if we're calling this, you know, this is the drop start, this will be the turnaround, and then this part will be, you know, we'll call it part 2. So I like to do something different at the end of this, ends of the phrase, because it makes it more captivating. There's more to focus on, and it's not just some monotonous thing that keeps repeating. So let's switch this up. We're going to delete this and have a cool turnaround here. So we'll have some weird sound. So we could use a sound that's already here, or we could find something else. So I'm just going to look up glitch, because we'll find something weird. Let's see. We'll use this one, first one that we hear. I think that's a splice sample. I'm just gonna turn it up a bit so we can see what's going on, make it a little louder, and we're gonna stretch it out. Cool. And let's turn it to textures. Let's see how this works. Let's pitch it down. I'm going to copy this little boost rack that we had here and paste it onto this. And I'm going to drop the mix on the reverb so that we get some of the original sample. And I'm going to make it a little more reverberated. Cool. So let's see. Let's just hunt through the sample here. If it's not scrolling like this for you, what you need to do, it might look like this, and you're going, why is it not scrolling through? What you need to do is click loop. And these top flags here are going to determine what moments you can kind of loop through of that. So does it? Yeah, it does. So make sure your top flags are the entirety of length of the sample, and then hit loop, and you can scrub through different areas of this. Let's try some different things. Okay. That sounds pretty cool. I'm going to automate the mix on the reverb to kind of come up and do a little reverb throw. And make that up a little. So what I did there was I right-clicked, show automation, and it opens this automation thing, and I grab wherever and I can drag it along. So I want it to start at 0 mix, and then I want it to, I click again and I can drag up here, and we create this motion. So as we go along the track, this is going to automate from 0 up to wherever this is, 52%. So then we can hold Alt and change the shape. While we're holding Alt, we click and drag and change the shape of this curve, so we can do kind of an exponential curve here. Cool. So let's find another sample. I'm going to duplicate this. And we're going to find something else here that will work for this. So I think since this, you know, the melody, so to speak, of this is going bam bum 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 bam bum bam bum 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 bam bum bam bum 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 bam bam bum bum bum, we should go back down to something like that. So I'm gonna take that horn sample, or you know, maybe I'm gonna take this Cashmere synth and I'm gonna put it down here. We're gonna stretch it out. We're gonna take it off of texture mode. Let's turn the reverb off. Let's try tones. And cool. That sounds fine. Crank the drive a bit. Let's see how that sounds. All right, that sounds fine. And then we'll do some really low reverb maybe. Ooh. We could even EQ out some of these highs. Ooh, yeah, something like that. So I'm going to right click, show automation. We're going to have that go wow kind of thing. Sweet, let's see how that sounds. All right, I'm going to play from the top. We'll do a little counting. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4. Cool. So we have this little turnaround now, and now we'll go into part 2. So this was the other little thing we had. All right, so let's put that over here. So we're gonna copy the same thing, so it goes wham bum bum bum, and then we're just gonna put that up 1, so it goes wham bum 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 bum. Very subtle, but you can hear it. And then duplicate, and instead of going up 1 again, we're gonna go down 1. So we go down 1, down 2, because it was up 1 to begin with. From that was the wrong one, my apologies. We're going for this one. This one's up 1, now it's down 1. There we go. Cool. So let's copy the little horn synth things here, and now let's see how that works with the turnaround. Good. So let's hear it from the top now. This is our kind of full drop-ish kind of thing. Alright, so there's a little funky stuff happening with the drums here. I have an early kind of clap. We're going to get rid of that. We're going to keep it pretty simple. I'm going to copy a kick there. And then the side, nothing hits there, so I'm going to get rid of the side chain. Like the same here, there's nothing here, so likewise. Actually, you know, I kind of like the side chain there. Okay, so we'll do another little kind of turnaround at this point here. So this would be like the end of the entire phrase. That's much too long to... Well, all right, there we go. End of the entire phrase. Well, this would be the end of the entire phrase. But, okay, all right, let's rename that. We're going to call this... we're going to call it final turnaround. Okay, there we go. So now that we have this 16 bars and an idea created, we're going to look at how we can really start to elevate the flow a little bit more, and you know what we could do to really start to make this a cool, captivating idea even further than what we've done here.